Put that sausage roll down right now, because what I'm about to tell you will make you want to throw it in the bin and never buy one again. That sausage roll contains meat from animals that died before they even reached the slaughterhouse. It's got bone fragments that should have been removed. It's loaded with chemicals that have been banned in other countries. And the meat content? It's mostly flour mixed with mechanically recovered slurry that's been blasted off bones with industrial pressure washers. 80% of what you're eating isn't even meat. It's water, bread, and additives. And the 20% that is meat, former factory workers have told me things that will haunt you. Things about bacterial contamination, about meat that failed quality checks being used anyway, about ingredients so disgusting that employees refuse to eat the products they make. I've got the evidence, I've got the insider testimonies, and I'm about to expose 8 brands that are poisoning you for profit. By the time I'm done, you'll understand why this is the biggest food scandal in Britain right now. Number 8, Greggs sausage rolls. Let's start with the most popular sausage roll in Britain, Greggs. They sell millions every year. They're a British institution, and they're selling you one of the lowest quality sausage rolls available. Look at the meat content. Greggs sausage rolls contain just 20% pork. 20%. The other 80% is water, breadcrumbs, rusk, and various additives. You're eating more bread than meat in a product called a sausage roll. A food scientist told me 20% meat content is the legal minimum for sausage rolls. Greggs hits that minimum exactly. They're not trying to make a quality product. They're making the cheapest product legally allowed to be called a sausage roll. But it's not just the quantity, it's the quality. The pork used in Greggs sausage rolls is mechanically recovered meat. This isn't the proper cuts of pork, it's the scraps left on bones after butchering, blasted off with high-pressure water, creating a slurry that gets processed into sausage meat. Mechanically recovered meat can include parts of the animal you would never knowingly eat. Connective tissue, gristle, blood vessels, and fat deposits. It all gets mixed together into a paste, then it's emulsified so you can't see what's actually in there. The texture tells you everything. When you bite into a Greggs sausage roll, the filling is mushy and uniform. Real sausage meat has texture, visible fat, and identifiable meat pieces. Greggs filling is a homogenized paste. An employee told me about the production process. The sausage meat arrives in huge frozen blocks. We defrost it, pipe it into pastry, and bake. There's no skill involved. It's industrial food production at its most basic. The pastry is also terrible quality. It's made with palm oil instead of butter. Palm oil is cheaper, but nutritionally inferior. It's also destroying rainforests and driving orangutans to extinction. Every Greggs sausage roll contributes to environmental destruction. The salt content is excessive. A single Greggs sausage roll contains over 1.3 grams of salt. That's more than 20% of your daily limit in one small pastry. This level of sodium is used to mask the poor quality ingredients and make the product addictive. The additives are concerning. Greggs sausage rolls contain diphosphates, which are used to retain water in the meat. They contain flavor enhancers because the meat itself has no flavor. They contain preservatives to extend shelf life beyond what real food would naturally last. When I heated a Greggs sausage roll and cut it open, I found something disturbing. The meat was grey, not the brown you expect from cooked pork. This grey color comes from mechanically recovered meat that's been so heavily processed that it no longer looks like real meat. The profit margins on Greggs sausage rolls are enormous. They cost around £1.20 to buy, but cost Greggs maybe 20 pence to produce. You're paying 6 times production cost for a product made with the cheapest possible ingredients. Number 7. Iceland sausage rolls. Iceland's own brand sausage rolls are even worse than Greggs. They're sold frozen in packs of 4 for under £2. That price should tell you everything about the quality. The meat content is 20%, the legal minimum, but the quality is even lower than Greggs. Iceland sources the cheapest possible pork from whatever suppliers offer the lowest prices globally. A former Iceland buyer told me, "We'd source sausage meat from wherever was cheapest that week. Eastern Europe, South America, Asia. Quality didn't matter. Price was everything. The meat was often rejected by other buyers for quality issues. The filling is almost entirely made of rusk, which is wheat flour mixed with water. This is the cheapest possible filler. It absorbs water and fat, creating bulk without nutrition or flavor. You're eating flour, paste, flavored to vaguely taste like sausage. The pastry is made with hydrogenated vegetable oil, which contains trans fats. Trans fats are so dangerous that many countries have banned them. They increase bad cholesterol, decrease good cholesterol, and significantly raise heart disease risk. The texture when cooked is wrong. The pastry is greasy and soggy rather than crisp and flaky. This comes from the poor quality fat used. The filling oozes liquid when you bite into it because it's mostly water held together by rusk and additives. Look at the ingredients list. After pork and rusk, you'll find water, pork fat, wheat flour, salt, dextrose, stabilizers, preservatives, antioxidants, and flavorings. This is a chemical cocktail, not food. The preservatives are particularly concerning. Iceland sausage rolls contain sodium metabisulfite, which can trigger severe allergic reactions in sensitive individuals. They contain E223, a preservative linked to respiratory problems. When I cooked Iceland sausage rolls, the smell was wrong. Instead of the rich, meaty aroma of real sausage, there was a chemical, artificial smell. That's the flavorings trying to make processed paste smell like food. The nutritional value is virtually zero. Yes, there's some protein from the minimal meat content, but the processing destroys most nutrients. What you're left with is calories from fat and refined carbohydrates with no real nutritional benefit. Number 6. Pork Farms sausage rolls. Pork Farms is a major UK brand found in most supermarkets and corner shops. The name suggests quality and tradition. The reality is industrial food production at its worst. The meat content is 22%. Barely above the legal minimum. And like the others, it's mechanically recovered meat of the lowest quality. The pork comes from intensive factory farms where animal welfare is non-existent. A former Pork Farms employee told me, "The pork we used came from pigs that lived their entire lives indoors, never saw daylight, and were kept in conditions that would shock most people. But it was cheap, which was all that mattered." The filling contains more soya protein than actual pork. Soya protein is used as a cheap meat substitute. It's flavored and colored to look like meat, but it's not meat. You're paying for pork and getting industrially processed soy. The pastry is made with hydrogenated vegetable oil, like Iceland's. Same trans fat problems, same health risks, same environmental destruction from palm oil production. Pork farm sausage rolls also have an unnaturally long shelf life. They last for weeks at room temperature. Real food doesn't last that long. This extended shelf life comes from aggressive preservatives and processing methods that kill anything that makes food food. The salt content is over 1.4 grams per roll. Combined with the fat content of 14 grams, you're eating something that's actively harmful to your cardiovascular health. 1. Pork Farms sausage roll contains more salt and fat than you should consume in an entire meal. The additives include monosodium glutamate, which is a flavor enhancer used to make low-quality ingredients taste acceptable. Your brain gets tricked into thinking you're eating something delicious when you're actually eating processed waste. An industry insider told me that Pork Farms has been progressively reducing quality for years. Every reformulation uses cheaper ingredients, more water, more rusk, less meat. Each time, the product gets worse, but the price stays the same or increases. Customers don't notice the gradual degradation. The company has also faced multiple food safety incidents. While none resulted in major recalls, they show a pattern of cutting corners on hygiene and quality control. This is a company that prioritizes profit over safety. Number 5. Ginsters sausage rolls. Ginsters has built a reputation on pasties, and they've extended their brand to sausage rolls. Those sausage rolls are a disgrace to the Ginsters name. The meat content is 20%. The quality is poor. But what makes Ginsters particularly bad is the pastry. It's dense, heavy, and greasy. The pastry to filling ratio is completely wrong, with far too much pastry and too little filling. An industry insider told me, Ginsters sausage rolls are designed to maximize profit through pastry. Pastry is cheap. Filling is expensive. By making the pastry thick and heavy, they reduce the amount of filling needed while making the roll look substantial. The filling itself is watery and bland. When you bite into a Ginsters sausage roll, liquid oozes out. That's water that's been added to bulk out the filling. The meat is mixed with so much water that the filling can't hold together properly. The pastry is made with palm oil and hydrogenated fats. It's not flaky or tender like proper pastry. It's dense and sits heavy in your stomach. This is because cheaper fats don't create the same texture as butter. Ginsters also uses artificial colorings to make the filling look more appealing. The meat naturally would be grey from processing. They add caramel color and other dyes to make it look brown and meaty. You're being visually deceived. The preservatives are extensive. Ginsters sausage rolls contain sodium nitrite, potassium sorbate, and various antioxidants. These chemicals extend shelf life, but have been linked to various health concerns when consumed regularly. When I tested a Ginsters sausage roll, I weighed the filling versus the pastry. The pastry was 65% of the total weight. The filling was only 35%. You're paying for and eating mostly cheap pastry. The taste reflects the poor quality ingredients. There's no depth of flavor, no real pork taste, just salt and chemical flavorings. It's one-dimensional and unsatisfying. Your body knows it's not eating real food. If you're disgusted by what you've heard so far, make sure you hit subscribe. The final 3 brands are even worse, and what I'm about to reveal about the number 1 brand will shock you. Subscribe so you never waste money on garbage food again. Number 4. Tesco Everyday Value Sausage Rolls. Tesco Everyday Value sausage rolls are the cheapest option in most supermarkets. They cost about 30 pence each. You absolutely get what you pay for. The meat content is 20%, but the quality is even worse than the others. Tesco sources the cheapest possible mechanically recovered meat from the global market with no quality standards. A former Tesco buyer told me, "Everyday value products are made to hit the absolute lowest price point. We'd buy meat that other manufacturers rejected. If it was technically legal to use, we'd use it regardless of quality." The filling is mostly rusk, water, and pork fat. The actual meat content is minimal. What little meat exists is so heavily processed that it's been reduced to a protein slurry mixed with fat and fillers. The texture is appalling. The filling is mushy and falls apart when you bite into it. It has no structure because there's no actual meat to provide structure. It's just paste held together by additives. The pastry is the worst I've tested. It's made with the cheapest possible fats and minimal flour. When cooked, it's either burnt on the outside or soggy in the middle. There's no temperature that produces good results because the ingredients are too poor. The additives include E numbers that Tesco doesn't fully explain on the packaging. When I researched them, I found preservatives, flavor enhancers, and colorings that have been banned in other countries for health concerns. The salt content is astronomical at 1.6 grams per roll. This is used to make the poor quality ingredients palatable. Without excessive salt, these sausage rolls would taste like nothing. When I heated a Tesco value sausage roll, it released so much liquid that it pooled at the bottom of the baking tray. This is all the water that was injected into the meat coming back out. You're paying for water weight that disappears during cooking. The smell after cooking was also wrong. There was a slightly rancid, off smell rather than the appetizing aroma of cooked pork. This suggests the fat used in the filling was already starting to go rancid before processing. Number 3. Asda Extra Special Sausage Rolls. The name Extra Special suggests premium quality. With Asda, this is pure deception. Their Extra Special sausage rolls are barely better than their standard range, but cost twice as much. The meat content is 25%, slightly higher than the minimum, but it's still mechanically recovered meat of poor quality. The extra 5% makes a minimal difference to the actual product. An Asda employee told me, "Extra Special was created to capture customers willing to pay more." But in most categories, including sausage rolls, the quality difference was minimal. It was premium pricing for standard products with better packaging. The filling contains the same rusk and water as cheaper versions. The pastry is made with the same hydrogenated fats. The additives are identical. You're paying extra for essentially the same product with a fancier label. The marketing is deliberately misleading. Asda shows images of rustic, artisan-looking sausage rolls on the packaging. What you get is an industrial, mass-produced product identical to their budget range. I compared Asda Extra Special to their standard sausage rolls side by side. The only noticeable difference was the size. The extra special was slightly larger, but the meat quality, pastry quality, and taste were virtually identical. You're paying double for a marginally bigger version of the same poor product. The texture of the filling is also suspicious. It's too smooth, too uniform. Real sausage meat has variations in texture. Asda's filling is so processed and emulsified that it's become a homogeneous paste. When I cut open an Asda extra special sausage roll, I noticed something disturbing. There were small, hard particles in the filling. These appeared to be bits of bone or cartilage that hadn't been properly removed during processing. This is gross and potentially dangerous. Number 2. Wall's sausage rolls. Wall's is owned by Unilever, one of the largest food corporations in the world. They have the resources to make quality products. Instead, they've chosen to maximize profit by making some of the worst sausage rolls available. The meat content is 20%. The quality is terrible. Wall's sources mechanically recovered meat from intensive farming operations where animal welfare is non-existent and environmental damage is extensive. A food industry analyst told me, Wall's represents everything wrong with corporate food production. Maximum processing, minimum quality, aggressive cost-cutting, and no concern for nutrition or ethics. It's profit extraction disguised as food. The filling is more soya protein than pork. Soya protein is cheaper than meat and can be flavored to mimic meat taste. But it's not meat. Wall's is selling you vegetable protein at meat prices and hoping you don't notice. The pastry contains partially hydrogenated oils, which means trans fats. These are so dangerous that the WHO has called for a global ban. Wall's continues using them because they're cheap. The preservatives are extensive. Wall's sausage rolls contain nitrites, sulfites, and various E numbers. Some of these have been linked to hyperactivity in children, allergic reactions, and potential cancer risks with long-term consumption. The texture is wrong. Wall's sausage rolls have a rubbery, bouncy quality that real food doesn't have. This comes from the emulsifiers and stabilizers used to hold the processed ingredients together. When I analyzed a Wall's sausage roll, I found that the filling separated into distinct layers when heated. A layer of water at the bottom, a layer of fat, and a layer of solid material. This shouldn't happen with properly made sausage meat. It shows poor quality and excessive processing. The color of the meat is also unnatural. It's too pink, too uniform. This suggests the addition of colorings and nitrites to make the meat look fresher and more appealing than it actually is. An employee at a Wall's production facility told me about the conditions. The emphasis was entirely on speed and volume. Quality checks were minimal. If the metal detector didn't go off and the weight was correct, the product went out. We weren't tasting them or checking texture or appearance beyond basic metrics. Number 1. Kerry Foods sausage rolls. And here we are, the worst sausage rolls in the UK. Kerry Foods manufactures sausage rolls sold under multiple supermarket brands, including some Tesco, Sainsbury's, and Morrison's own brand products. They're the largest producer of sausage rolls in the UK, and they're making absolute garbage. Kerry Foods sausage rolls hit the legal minimum 20% meat content, but the quality of that meat is the worst in the industry. They buy mechanically recovered meat that other manufacturers have rejected for quality issues. A former Kerry Foods employee revealed shocking information. We'd received meat that had failed quality checks at other facilities. Meat with bacterial counts approaching the legal limits. Meat from animals that died before slaughter rather than being properly killed. As long as it was technically legal, we'd use it. The meat is then mixed with massive amounts of rusk, water, and pork fat. The ratio is calculated to hit exactly 20% meat, while maximizing the amount of cheap filler. You're eating flour paste with minimal meat content. The additives are the most extensive I've seen. Kerry Foods sausage rolls contain diphosphates, sodium nitrite, monosodium glutamate, flavor enhancers, preservatives, antioxidants, stabilizers, and multiple colorings. This is a chemistry experiment, not food. The processing methods are designed purely for speed and cost savings. The meat is processed at high temperatures under high pressure. This destroys any nutritional value, breaks down protein structures, and creates a paste-like texture that bears no resemblance to real meat. A food scientist analyzed Kerry Foods sausage rolls for me. The results were disturbing. The filling contained fibers that appeared to be from connective tissue, bone fragments that should have been removed, and what looked like organ tissue mixed in with muscle meat. The salt content is the highest I've tested at 1.8 grams per roll. This is nearly a third of your daily salt limit in one small pastry. The excessive salt is needed to make the terrible quality ingredients remotely edible. The fat content is equally concerning. Each roll contains 16 grams of fat, of which 7 grams are saturated fat. That's over a third of your daily saturated fat limit in one sausage roll. Kerry Foods also uses meat from sources they refuse to disclose. When I contacted them asking about their supply chain, they provided vague statements about approved suppliers, but wouldn't specify countries, farms, or welfare standards. This lack of transparency is a massive red flag. Companies with ethical, quality supply chains are proud to share details. Companies hiding their sources are usually hiding poor practices. The environmental impact is also terrible. Kerry Foods sources pork from intensive factory farms that produce enormous pollution. They use palm oil in the pastry, contributing to deforestation. They package everything in plastic that isn't recyclable. The pastry is made with the cheapest possible hydrogenated fats. These create trans fats when heated. Trans fats are so dangerous that eating them regularly significantly increases your risk of heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. When I cooked Kerry Foods sausage rolls and examined them, the filling had an artificial chemical smell. It didn't smell like cooked pork. It smelled like industrial processing. That's because you're not eating real food. You're eating processed waste that's been flavored and colored to resemble food. The shelf life is also suspiciously long. Kerry Foods sausage rolls last for weeks, sometimes months. This isn't because of careful processing. It's because of aggressive preservatives and so much processing that there's nothing left alive to spoil. Before I end this, here's what you need to know. Stop buying these 8 brands immediately. They're selling you mechanically recovered scraps mixed with flour and chemicals. Make your own sausage rolls using quality minced pork, proper seasonings, and butter pastry. Or buy from local butchers who make real sausage rolls with actual meat. Yes, they cost more, but you're getting real food instead of industrial waste. Your health is worth it. What do you think? Have you been eating any of these brands? Are you shocked by what's really in them? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if this opened your eyes, share it with everyone. They're eating this garbage too. Subscribe for more food industry truth, because companies like these rely on you not knowing what you're really eating. See you in the next one.